Hey guys, the Wood Craftsman here. I'm going to show you how to add under cabinet lighting to your wall cabinets, or any cabinet for that matter, in Mozaik version 14. In the previous video I produced on Mozaik 14, I showed you basically how to do the realistic cloud rendering. Now this next feature I'm going to show you with under cabinet lighting will really only have an effect if you have the cloud rendering capability like I showed in the previous video. If you don't have that, then this really won't do you any good. But if you're interested in learning more about the video, I'm going to show you right here and right now. So the first thing you need to do is you're going to have to set up a light fixture or light fixtures depending on your needs. So you're going to go into the Libraries tab, you're going to click on the Hardware, and you'll notice now that there is another tab next to Legs, which was back in version 13. In version 14 they've added a Lights tab. If you click on that, this will be blank to start with. In this case here, I've already added some lights to this, and I've called them a couple different names. So I have the puck light LED, and I've got a few other ones here as well. So I'm going to go to this one here. This is the one that I called under cabinet linear LED. Now if you are providing the lights, you could actually add your costs and your markup if you're part of the bidding, if you're using Mozaik to come up with the cost of your job. If you're not, you can leave this blank. We don't use Mozaik for pricing, nor do we use include lighting as far as within our cabinets, so that's part of our electrician. So next thing to do is you can add a comment here as far as what you want to know about that light, and then you're going to select the type. You can choose some linear or spot or SketchUp. In this case here, I've used linear, and when you click on that, these options will show up. In this case here, I've set the width to 1.5 inches. Basically that's how deep it is. The thickness is basically how high it is. And then there's intensity and spread. Intensity goes from 0.1 to 1.0, 0.1 being the least bright, 1.0 being the brightest. And then the spread, this is the angle that the light beam spreads out across the countertop. And then color, if you click on that, it brings up the Windows Color Manager. And if you go into Define Custom Colors, here you can see your RGB, or you can do your hue, saturation, and lumens. I have found for basically a crisp, warm white light for under cabinet lighting, the red would be set to 255, the green would be 255, and the blue would be 245 to 250. You can kind of pick which one works best for you. Once you've done that, click on Add to Custom Color. It'll show up here, and then click OK. I've already done it, so I don't need to do it. And once you've done that, it'll show up here in color. Once you've done all this, then you need to export it. So click on Export. And you have to make sure you export it to the right location. So up here in the File Explorer address bar, you're going to see Windows C. In this case here, it's Mozaik. So I'm going to click on Mozaik, and you're going to go down into Data. So click on the Data tab or Data folder, and you're going to go down to Lights. Click on Lights, and then this should be empty right now until you add your first one. And as you add more and more, they will pop up here, regardless of whether it's a spotlight or if it's a linear light. And don't worry about naming it, because it's already going to have the name down here from what you actually called the light fixture in the previous menu. And then click Save. In this case, you're going to click Cancel because I've already done it. Once you're done with that, you can close this. The next thing you need to do is go into your Settings tab, and over here in Miscellaneous, you're going to see two new ones here called Spotlights and Linear Lights. These both should say None for your first time. In this case here, I've already got a puck light LED set up for spotlights. I'm using that for a light above the sink. And here I don't have any linear lights selected, so I'm going to select the linear lights. I'm going to do the under cabinet linear LED. And it's going to do some thinking here briefly because it's importing the data. And then go into your Products tab. Alright, so I've already added under cabinet lights to all the wall cabinets here except for one. I'm going to show you how simple it's to do that. So I like to do an elevation view. Going to view this wall here. Alright, so I have my under cabinet light molding here, and if I just do a quick 3D view, you're going to see these white bars. So these here are what's actually going to emit the beam pattern or the illumination. Okay, so the way you do this, first thing you need to do is, I'm going to open this one up here, but if you've downloaded version 14 recently, there's a possibility that you do not have this library yet. It's called Appliance and Graphics. I strongly suggest that if you haven't done this already, to download that, because that is going to have all the appliance and graphics that are compatible with the cloud rendering for version 14. Earlier graphics versions will work, but you can't change the textures on them like you can in version 14. So I strongly recommend doing this. And to do this, just go into Tools, go down to Import Updated Data. It's going to open up a new menu. And then go down to Product Libraries, click on Appliance Graphics. You're going to see this one pop up here. You're just going to click on that. It's going to turn red with a minus sign. It's going to show up over here. And then you're going to import it, and it'll automatically import it into the proper location. Once it's done, just X out. And then it'll show up here in your library listing. Okay, so once you've done that, now they have light fixtures down here in architectural. If you go into lighting, you'll see cabinet lighting. Click on the plus sign, and you'll see under cabinet puck and under cabinet puck up. Now, even though I said I wanted to do linear under cabinet lighting, this essentially is just a placeholder for that fixture. So you're just going to click on it, and you're just going to drag it over to where you think you want to put it. Get it close. Okay, here we are. So before I move that, I'm treating this LED fixture as kind of a channel light, where you have the LED strips that you can cut to length in increments and put them in an aluminum channel and put a cover over it. That's kind of how I'm treating this. It gets me pretty nice even light output, but if you're doing predetermined lengths, you have to size them accordingly. But what I'm doing here just for this demonstration is I'm going to make the light fixture 3 inches shorter than the cabinet with itself. So we are 32.5, so I'm going to make that LED under cabinet light 29.5. So you can see this little image right here. This is just kind of like a light image. Just click on that again, and I want that to be, the cabinet's 4.5 inches from the wall, and like I said, I'm going to make the light strip 3 inches shorter, which is 1.5 inches from each side. So I'm going to set this one here 6 inches from the left. Okay, now elevation is not right yet, which is fine, because right now I want to edit the light. So right now it's just showing it's 3 by 3 by 3, which is not correct. So while it's still highlighted red, right click, click on edit, and then if you go down to parts, you're going to see that there's going to be quantity spotlight. This is going to be some information here. Don't worry about that. Just click on this little icon here. It looks like a little light bulb. Click on that. It's going to ask you spot or linear. I'm going to select linear. And then in this case here, I need to change the length from 4 inches to 29.5. And just click OK. And now you'll see here that we actually have a bar here that is 1.5 inches by 29.5. Now, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why the spotlight shows up. So I'm just going to click on it. I'm going to delete it. Then you'll see that that little image went away, which is good. Save changes and click OK. So now this will still be here, this little 3 by 3 box. But once you click out of it, you'll see it disappear. But now I want to raise this, so I'm just going to go back to the end. So one thing I need to point out is that it doesn't center itself. It goes from the length goes from left to right, so you're always referencing the left side. So I'm going to raise the elevation to 54. I'm not changing the outset because basically right now it's just up against the wall or the backsplash. And let's do a quick 3D view here. And there we go. So again, this is just for the visual of the illumination here. All right. So now we're going to go into 3D. And I don't want to spend a lot of time in the settings here because it is going to be very dependent on the textures in the room and the size of the room, and there's a lot of variables. But if you go over here into this little button here, it's 3D settings, you click on that. These are the settings I have found out that works well for this particular scene with these particular textures. However, you may have to move your ambient around, you may have to move your camera around, you may have to move your HDRI around depending on what you have the room, which way it's drawn, things like that. But I have found that for the most part, this brightness, specular scale, and sphere size seem to work really good with these settings here, but on this particular one, it seems to be they have to run 1.50 on the brightness. So you can see here, if I go back to 1.0, whoops. I don't know if you saw it, there was a subtle change over here. I'm going to change that back again. Very subtle change in the overall brightness. As far as the line and the ambient occlusions, these are ones you can kind of play around with well. These kind of mess with the shadows. Again, I strongly encourage you to kind of adjust these accordingly and kind of adjust them and just see once what they do, so you have an understanding when you do a rendering, you know, why it looks the way it does, and understand which settings you may need to change. So we're good with these here. You can save these as defaults, which would basically save it. So every time you open this up in a new job, it would be saved like that, but it's not guaranteed it's going to work for your next job based on the textures. So I'm going to X out, go up here to render. Okay, so one other setting you can look at here is number one is you can change the size. Do you want it 16 by 9? Do you want it 4 by 3, 1 by 1, 3 by 4, or 9 by 16? I always do 16:9. I've been finding transparent background, it works really well, just for a simple reason that if you're not using an HDRI image, if you do a transparent background, it saves it as a PNG file, which will allow you then to basically overlay this image over another background, such as a woods or trees or lawn or something like that, so it looks more realistic. But the exposure, I've been finding that usually anywhere from 0.75 to 1.25 is pretty good. It really depends on where you need a little bit more lighting. But we're going to stick with 1.0 for right now. Alright, and these are the saved views that we've saved over here earlier. So this was the recent one. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click render. Alright, so this actually looks pretty respectful just as is for what it is. I'm going to try one thing here. I'm actually going to increase the exposure a little bit and just see how much it just lightens up this room in general, because right now there is no ceiling lighting in here, which I'm still working on as far as how to add that to make it look realistic. But right now we have the under cabinet lighting, and then I have this hanging pendant, which is what I use the spotlight for. Okay, so we're going to change this one here. I'm going to increase the exposure to 1.10. Let's see what that does. Okay, this looks pretty good. So the one thing I want to caution you on this is you have to be a little bit careful with the settings I mentioned earlier and then this exposure. This here looks like it could use maybe just a little bit more exposure, but you have to be careful because anything that's nearest the light source, which is coming from this side here because this is an L-shaped kitchen, this will start to get washed out. So you have to be a little careful with that, and that's obviously something that can be played with with these settings as well. But what I've been finding is that these particular settings for this particular different types of textures seem to work quite well. So I'm going to just try one more thing here real briefly. We're going to up that exposure 0.05, so we're going to do 1.15, enter, and I'm just going to re-render it and just see what it looks like. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it like that. That's actually pretty respectful for what it is. This is basically would be considered to be daylight with a little bit of lighting on it. As Mozaik gets deeper and deeper into more developments on this software, I'm assuming at some point now I'm going to show how to add some room lighting that actually show the fixtures emitting light. But for right now, this is a massive improvement over the previous version. So, okay, so before we save this, I wanted to make one thing pretty clear here as far as how you save this. This needs to be saved in a way that you know where it's going to be. So basically you want to save it like maybe the job name or however you can locate it. Because once you click on export and you save image, it brings you the File Explorer and asks you the location, but it doesn't give you the option to name it. So it's really important that your scene is named the way you want it. So this case here, I need to go back. I'm just going to X out of this. And I need to basically update this. So we're going to do this one. Is it this one here? I'm not sure. Yep, I'm going to just redo this. I'm going to rename it. I'm just going to put the date behind it, because I'm pretty sure I already have one in the folder without that. And let's just make sure that that is what I wanted. Yep, okay. So I'm going to go back to, let's just double check our settings here. Yep. I'm going to re-render this. Okay, so now that we have this rendered and I've renamed it, I'm going to export this. And I'm not printing it. I'm going to click Save Image. Click OK. It's going to ask you for the location. In this case here, it is going to be Pictures. And click OK. It says Save Images Successful. And now it'll pop up here very shortly. Here we go. And that's the one that we just rendered. So now you might be wondering, why is it dark in the window? It was light before. Because I have my Windows background set to dark mode, and this is a PNG. There's nothing here. It's just reflecting the dark mode of the Windows background. So I'll put a picture up here now after I've edited it, just to show you as far as what it looks like now after I've added an image behind it. So that's basically it. That's how we've created this image. There's a few steps to it, but hopefully this kind of helps you, because like I said, adding the under cabinet lighting just seems to make a big difference in the overall appearance of what this finished project would look like for your client. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. Again, if you don't have the cloud rendering, you will have something that looks like this based on how you adjust your settings. And for most people this might work really good, but if you have some clients that are a little bit more visual than this, that's where the cloud rendering would really help, and especially with the under cabinet lighting. So there's a lot more possibilities with that. It does come with the cost, but it's just something that you have to consider, is it worth it or not. So I have definitely found for us here it's definitely worth it, because I used to do all the work of the rendering with under cabinet lighting in SketchUp with aerial vision, and it was a lot of time spent versus a few minutes and a few clicks. So for us here, we definitely found a massive impact improvement. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Questions and comments are welcome. Thanks for watching.